All right, we are joined by Deb and Stan Bond, who are interpreters with the History Center of docents with the History Center and interpreters of the Trail of Tears Park. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. How are you, Clayton?
Doing just fine, doing just fine. And so, yeah, as we jump into things today, of course, observing Indigenous Peoples Day today and taking a look then at our local heritage in that regards, local history in that regards. Can you guys take us through um, the local Trail of Tears Park's role within that?
Sure. Well, during the winter of 1838, 1839, they had the forced evacuation of the Cherokees from Georgia and South Carolina, and they actually came through the town. Just north of the building here that we're sitting in is the actual part of the Trail of Tears route, and of course they crossed the river at Trail of Tears State Park from Illinois. On the other side of the river was Willard's Landing, and so they landed over here at Moccasin Springs at Trail of Tears State Park. There were about 9 detachments, and about probably 10,000 Cherokees passed through this trail here in front of the History Center here. That was a very that winter was incredibly cold and wet from what they normally were. So the Cherokees suffered greatly during that. I mean, lots of them. There was hundreds of them died uh, as they crossed the river and as they stayed. As you can imagine, a little ferry boat. You got to get each detachment had maybe 1,000 Native Americans in it. It takes quite a while to get them all those people across the river on a little ferry boat. So they would have to camp on both sides of the river during a very brutal winter. Uh, and as you know, there's a monument in the park to one of the ladies that died during the forced march. Her name was Nancy Bushyhead Walker Hildebrand. What was the other one?
There's another name.
There's another name in there too. But anyway, locally, she is known as Princess Otaki, which is a very big misnomer because the Cherokees did not have any royalty. The chiefs weren't kings; they were just chiefs, and she was not the wife of a chief. She was the sister of one of the detachment leaders, uh, Jesse Bushyhead. So it's people around here are a little bit shocked when they hear that kind of that information, but that's just the way it was. We at the History Center, Carla contracts with the river boats, and they do. This is considered a premium tour, so we meet the boats at the riverfront in Cape, go out to the park, we go down to the riverfront at the park, we stop at the visitor center, and we see a movie about the Trail of Tears. And the park's personnel, the park staff is just wonderful. They do a really good job. They usually get on the coach with us and do a an overview of the park and how important it is for the interpretation of the Trail of Tears. We take them out to the overlook at the Trail of Tears, which is it's not an actual part of the tour. I mean, it's part of the removal route, but it's an incredibly nice scene looking over into Illinois and stuff. So it's then we end up at the History Center here, and Carla Jordan, our director, gives a summation of the tour and how the Cherokees are today. And as she always says, the Cherokees do not want to be looked at as victims of the Trail of Tears. They are survivors, and they're doing quite well.
All right. Um, as far as visiting these local sites, are there any recommendations you have as to like what people should start with when taking a look?
Well, I would recommend the Trail of Tears Park and going to the visitor center. They have a nice museum there, and the people there are very knowledgeable about the Trail of Tears, and they can answer most of the questions. Uh, they can go down to the river and see it. We don't know exactly where they crossed at the river. I mean, it's right there, pretty close to the bottom of where the Greens Ferry goes to the river, but we don't know exactly where they crossed. But you get a feel for what the area looked like, and all the trees and stuff. It's a very beautiful, moving experience for the people on the tours. They really give good reviews to the park and how important it is and how fascinating it actually is to see all the items out there. And the little museum at the park is very nice. They have a reproduction wagon and some of the clothing that the Indigenous people, the Native Americans, would have worn during that time period. So it's worthwhile to do that. And of course, you can't miss the overlook. That's it's one of the most scenic parts of southeast Missouri is the overlook there. It's really a beautiful place. And then, of course, come to the History Center and talk to Carla. She's a wealth of knowledge about the Cherokees and any indigenous people.
All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Anything else today to mention before we wrap up? Anything else we should mention on the subject?
Well, I don't know if this really fits into it, but we just, my wife and I took one of the other tour guides over to Southern Illinois, and there are some really very nice spots where you see still see basically the wagon ruts, and there's actually a structure over there still in existence, which they stopped and purchased items in. So there's actually historic spots over there.
All right. Great stuff, Deb and Stan Bond. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Clayton. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right, to our audience as well, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate your time here with us today. We're turning back over to Local News Live, but Heartland Afternoon's coming up here at 3 o'clock. Stick around. Don't want to miss it.